living in your car. Is it living the dream or living the nightmare? Well, there's a couple things that can make living in your car a great experience, and there's a couple things that can make it a negative experience. The first and foremost is if you are doing it willingly. Like anything in life, when you're forced to do something against your will, even if something can be great, you resent it because it was not of your choosing. So for a certain group of people, they're forced into their car out of desperation, and it's very hard to enjoy anything, at least initially, when you are forced to do something. So, that would start a series of events that would create living in your car a nightmare, and it's totally understandable, and not something that I take lightly, but it's a reality of life. So, for those who are in that category of forced to live in their car, I would say look at subsidized housing, at least as operating as a home base, even if you don't stay there often, because I know that they can have their negatives as well. I would say look at government assistance programs and try to get back on your feet if you have the physical and mental ability to do some type of work, whether it's the gig economy, DoorDash, or just working the night shift as a security officer or something of that nature, just to get your feet back under you so that you can get out of the nightmare of being forced to live in your car and to get back living however you see best, an apartment or whatever. So for those who want to live in their car to travel, to have adventure, to be free from a lot of the cares that the conforming life brings. I will say from my 4 years experience living in a car and my 15 years prior experience to living in a condo, that there is nothing like the freedom of being totally detached, having everything you own always in your car, and just this endless possibility of dreams, of imagination, of the open road. That is a liberating feeling, which creates a dream. It creates, like I'm living the dream, as crazy as it may sound to some people who say, no matter who you are, living in your car is a nightmare. That's not the case. Obviously it's not the case for everyone. For some people, living in a car is a great experience. Now, how long that experience lasts is going to be an interesting thing for all of us. Even me, I'm still kind of trying to figure that out. What does that look like? The other two dynamics, right, are health. One major thing, whether you're forced to live in your car or if you do it willingly, if your health goes, if you get severely sick, I'm not talking about like, a couple days under the weather. There's been one time I've been sick for about a week or so, and I bunkered down in a campground in my car, so I didn't have to worry about traveling, but it was not a pleasant experience. So for those who get sick, living in your car becomes a nightmare because you can't stand up. You can't go from the bathroom to throw up if you need to back to your bed, to taking your NyQuil, to going to get water out of your refrigerator. Doing that within a car or a campground is not recommended. It's a nightmare. It is, and that's a risk that you take living in your car, getting severely sick, or God forbid, having a major issue like, going through a serious illness or twisting your knee and needing rehab. Then, the problem is if you get severely hurt or sick on the road, not only are you dealing with the elements of your sickness or your injury, but now you have to scramble to find housing because you don't have your home base in case something happens. So, what makes living in your car the dream is that, this liberating feeling when you have your health and you travel at will and you're walking, you're outside all day, you're going from this place to that place, and you're not thinking about it twice that, even when you go to do your laundry, God forbid, you could slip and fall and have a serious injury. So the dream can become the nightmare when it comes to sickness or injury. And that's something that you need to consider. And then what I would say, the dream of living in your car could be to save money, to start a business, a risky investment, or any number of those things which basically equal financial independence. The dream of living in your car is to cut your expenses so low that if you continue to work and save, that you can really get ahead. And that is very true. If you don't risk too much and lose it, or if you don't quit your job and just think you can live off savings. So, and that's where it becomes the nightmare. If you live in your car to save money, but you quit your job and then you burn through your savings, and then you don't have enough to get back into the conforming life, now you're in a nightmare. If you live in your car for the dream of being financially independent, but you risk your money in too many heavy investments like penny stocks or something like that, and you lose all your money, you're going to be highly depressed and it's going to be a nightmare. And I understand and have empathy for both, so no judgment and no pain. But mitigate your risk, keep a certain amount in savings and never touch it, and continue to put a certain amount of money in savings every month so that even if all your investments or all your ventures go wrong, you still have a healthy savings account to fall back on. And even though you will feel bad for losing money or missing out on a business opportunity, you will still have a level of financial independence so that even if the dream of living in your car becomes a nightmare, you still do not have a complete disaster. And the final thing that I would share with you, which I'm kind of at this point now, is when do you determine the dream has ended? As far as, living in your car is just like anything in this world. Nothing lasts forever. So when does living in your car end? Well, obviously, the list of circumstances that I just stated as far as living in your car can become a nightmare, those are one of many. But I would say at a certain point, you're either, after living the dream of being in your car for so long, years, and maybe reaching goals, saving money, paying off debt, then you have to decide, okay, I've lived the dream, and now is it time to evolve? Is it time to change? And it's a weird dynamic because for the past 4 years, I've looked at living in a regular house or an apartment as a nightmare. And I've looked at living in my car as a dream. But now, after reaching certain goals and certain goals failing, I did not reach every goal. I think about, do I want to trade the dream in of the totally detached life, totally liberated life, and go back to a level of a regular life with a house or an apartment to mitigate some risk? A house or an apartment or a home base is like a savings account. There is nothing exciting about it, but your savings account is there for an emergency. And a home base is kind of there for an emergency so that if you do get sick, hurt, or if you get some position where you need to, you have something. And I think about that. I think, well, that kind of makes sense, Certainly your age and your well-being and where you're at is part of it. I'll often say extreme temperature in the height of the summer or depths of the winter make you question the dream of living in your vehicle. Because extreme temperature, there is nothing you can do in 100-degree weather that can make your car cooler. And there's not much you can do when it's negative below in your car to make it warmer. I've been in both. I've made videos about both, and there's things you can supplement the extreme weather, but you can't mitigate it to the level if you had heating or cooling in a house or an apartment or an RV. And this video is mainly addressing people living in their car or van, a primitive, basic life. And so, at some point you say, look, even if living in your car has been a dream, even if you have accomplished some goals, at some point you're going to look at mitigating some risk by having some level of stability because there's just an evolution. But there's no exact science to when you do that. Because you can say, well, I'll wait till I'm 50, I'll wait till I'm 60, I'll wait till I'm 70. I don't think, in my opinion, that if you had the choice, anyone should be living full-time in their vehicle ages 70 and above. I think you should have a home base, whether it's subsidized housing for seniors or low income, or whether it's something you own or rent. Because I think, even at the age of 60, definitely 70, I just think, with the average lifespan of the human being 80, I think you're too frail. I think you're taking too much risk. It's like, and it's not healthy, in my opinion. Now, I'm 40, I'll be 41 this year. And even me, I don't feel as young as I did 4 years ago. And so I don't want the dream of living in my car to become a nightmare, especially as I get older. So, your age is a factor. Again, I do not want to discourage those at a certain age because there's not an exact science. I can't say at this age you stop, but I would say when you get into your 60s and 70s, which is the normal retirement age range, you have to look at mitigating some risk. Just like they say, like when you get in your 60s and 70s, diversify a little bit to more bonds, even though I know now that they say don't do that. But either way, I want to give some insight as to how living in your car can become a dream or a nightmare, and how we take a risk and we get a reward, or, we suffer a consequence, and just shed some light on the topic and make this video. I hope this video helped you just to talk it out and to share with you. If it did help you and you want to support the channel, click the blue join button. Thank you to all my members. You can also check out my playlist on my channel, thousands of free videos about the nomad life and a variety of topics. Click the thumbs up button on your way out. Thank you again for watching. Keep pushing forward. Show up as best you can, one day at a time, one step at a time. Self-care, time management, the grace of God. Do the best you can. I know it's not easy at times. Thank you.